question I hear a lot is, when do I quit? Like, how do I know when it's smart to quit? When do you think it's smart to quit? Now that you've actually gone through
it. Put simply, as soon as possible. I'm bringing on more clients and I'm like, shit, like my bottleneck is my 9 to 5. I can't scale anymore because then I'm either going to be really shitty at one job or the other.
Man, I just got to get here first, but you can't move because your 9 to 5 is what's holding you.
You gave me some resources that I was like, all right, here are some things that you can do, try and implement into your business. And I did. And I started working with actual businesses.
As soon as possible, yes. But as long as you have checked the following boxes, when you have proven to be able to generate leads consistently with the system, and when you have proven to be able to close and you know how to collect cash and onboard and you know your numbers, then you quit. What's going on, guys? Adrian, good to see you, brother. Hope you had a good weekend. We played a little bit of catch up before we hopped on the call, so we'll just jump straight into it. But I want this video, like I was telling you before, I want this to be super, super value packed. And I wanted to like dive deep into the specifics and the tangibles of where you were when you first like made the decision to work with us and start actually like adjusting and improving the business. Because I know you're working a job before and trying to build this on the side. And where you're at now, the things you learned along the way, and then tangible takeaways and action items people can do to also potentially get similar results. Does that sound good?
Yeah, sounds
Sweet.
good.
So Adrian, fill me in, man. Like, where were you when you first started working with us? What did life look like? And then where are you now in the business and in life in general?
Yeah. So I first reached out to you. I started following you, like I want to say early last year. It's
Yeah.
probably like January. And
So
then
we
I
had a
remember,
call. We had a call a long time ago initially, right? And it's
yeah, we did. I was scared, dude. It was a big
yeah,
chunk of money, sure, and it was scary to drop that much on a program, and it's just not something that I've done before.
yeah,
So that was the scary part, is like, how do I know that this is gonna work?
super valid.
You know, but on the other hand, a big part of that, once I started following you, sorry, I was thinking I had that mindset before we hopped on the call.
Uh-huh.
Because by the time we hopped on the call, that I went through like your all of your Instagram posts. I was watching YouTube. And it was like, okay, this all makes sense. Like I'm pretty sure this will work. But to me at the time, I was in a lot of debt. I
Yeah.
didn't have a lot of like good cash flow. Like, yes, I had steady income from my full-time job, but a lot of that was going towards mortgage, debt, and all these other bills. And so to me, in my head, it was like, I need to save up enough money specifically for this program.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I'm glad that I finally joined. Fast forward. So between our first conversation, which I want to say was probably like in March or April timeframe, something like that, you gave me some resources that I was like, all right, here are some things that you can do, try and implement into your business. And I did. And I started working with actual businesses, because before I even thought about doing any type of marketing or doing video for businesses, I was just shooting cars a lot, going to
Mm-hmm.
car shows, car events, anything like that, going to the track. And that's just a very, very competitive, not very like, I don't know how I could make livelihood off of that. And so it's like, something needs to change. Like this isn't where it's at. Um, but yeah, getting those resources from you kind of helped me implement some certain things into my business, to be able to market myself well to businesses. And I was able to work with an ortho office, and then they referred me to a dance
And
studio.
all that just from like the free stuff that I gave you, like after our call, like that's dope. That's cool. I'm
Yeah,
glad that you
exactly.
actually used it. Like I talk to so many guys and I'll give them stuff if they're not in a position and then like they don't do anything and then they still complain about where they're not getting results later on. So I'm glad and I'm pumped that you obviously use them. Well, that's cool that you were able to make that happen with just like a couple things that I gave you. So that's awesome. It's cool to hear.
Yeah, no, it was great. But then once I stopped, like we finish up those projects, then it was just like, all right, what else do you guys want to do? And I had no idea what to do at that point, right?
Mhm.
And so that's when I started to realize, like, all right, I'm trying all these things, but I understand the concepts, but I don't know how to implement it, and I was just at a loss at that point.
Yeah.
So yeah, fast forward to November, at like I was just banging my head against the desk trying to figure shit out. And it's just like, you know what? I think I need to just do this. And so, yeah, ever since then, honestly, like I wish that, like at this point, I wish that I had just pulled the trigger earlier when we first had the conversation early last year. But I'm glad I'm here now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
And when you say here now, like walk us through, like where are you at? Because before you're working a job, you're slaving away, working a ton of hours, and like where are you at now?
well, okay. I'll even give the timeline from when we first started. So actually, I think I officially signed and started the course in December.
Mm-hmm.
Started and like literally as soon as we paid, just started going through modules and just burning through the modules as fast as I could. My second regret was not running ads sooner.
That's
I was like,
everyone.
dude, I could have ran ads in December, but I waited and I waited, and then finally I was like, you know what? In January, mid-January is when I first like ran my ads. It was January 15th specifically,
Yep.
and from there it was just like, oh shit, this is working. So yeah, like for anyone watching, I would say run your ads as soon as possible. Just
Everyone says the same thing. It's so funny. Everybody says, "What's the one thing you could tell people? Run ads faster." Like,
yeah, like
yeah,
implement, and you can fix and iterate on like as you go.
yeah,
You just
yeah,
figure it out. Just fail fast, right? You
yep.
know?
And so now, as it stands, you
And
quit your
so
job
now,
recently, right?
yep,
Yep.
yeah. So uh originally the plan was, oh, I'll keep my full-time job while I'm scaling, and I'll quit by the end of the year. That was the goal. Then come like March, I'm bringing on more clients, and I'm like, shit, like my bottleneck is my 9 to 5. I can't scale anymore because then I'm either gonna be really shitty at one job or the other. Um, so I finally decided, like, you know what, I'm gonna put my notice in. Now to be fair, I did put a month notice because I've been with that company. I've been on that team. Like I love my
Good.
team
Yeah,
members.
it's
There's a
respectable.
lot of transition there and knowledge transfer.
Hmm.
But yeah, now it's just like, yeah, I'm full time.
Yeah.
And I'm able to just spend all this time working on the business, um, implementing things so that I could stop working in the business. And that's the whole thing right now. Is just really my biggest bottleneck at this point is just sales.
Yeah, and that's usually the case with a lot of guys. Is like it becomes like everything else is pretty dialed, and it's just sales, and then it's like getting over that hump. Like that's probably the biggest hump. But once you get over it and it starts clicking, like what Nolan always says, I can't stop closing. Like
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it's really it literally is just like it's like click moment, right? Like it's getting in the reps. Well, also with the right techniques, right? And I was talking about this on a call I just had right before us actually with this one guy, and I was like, what do you feel makes the difference between people that are great and the ones that aren't? Like, how do you ultimately build a skill set to the point where you can make a lot of money? He's like, reps. I was like, well, actually, I'll ask you, what do you think about that? Just reps alone. Do you think reps alone are enough to get results?
I think reps is half of it.
What's the other half?
Because the other half is, are you doing all these reps, but are you actually taking the time to reflect on, am I saying the right things? How could I have handled that better? Because if you're just doing reps and like just taking a bunch of sales calls but not actually learning from them, then you're not doing yourself a favor. You're actually
100%.
wasting your own time. It's a
Yeah.
disservice to you.
Yeah, it's reps paired with the right technique, the right strategy, right? Because like you can go do like 500 free throws, but if you're using the wrong technique, you're just ingraining the wrong techniques into your reps, right? And
Yeah.
so it is reps with the right skill sets and the right techniques, which is why it's so important to like not just take as many sales calls as you can, but every single call you take, you're reviewing it, you're showing up to role plays, you're reviewing sales trainings, like you're constantly working that muscle. And it's really cool because Ben, shout out Ben Stelter in the program. I was talking with him and we looked at all of his numbers, we looked at everything, and I was like, bro, it's just sales. Everything else is so good. You just got to get better at your sales game. So we started reviewing calls, and I was like, bro, I'm going to give you a challenge. I want you to commit to 80 hours of specific sales focus and trainings over the next month. Just do that. Maybe it was a couple months because that's like a lot of times, like 20 hours a week. But I was like 80 hours, and then let me know when you're done. And he was like, bro, 20 hours in, already jumped up the close rate to like 15%. And
Nice.
that's the beauty of like knowing your numbers. And I know you talk about it a lot too. Like ever since you learned like how to track numbers in the business, you're like, holy shit. You just look at what the numbers tell you and then you make adjustments based on that. So yeah, 100%. I agree with you there. You mentioned something earlier I really like, and you said, I got to the point of my business where I realized that my 9 to 5 was the bottleneck. And it made me think. I was like, a lot of people ask the question of when do I quit my 9 to 5? Because a lot of guys that I talk to, a lot of guys that watch our channel, they're working a job full time to pay the bills, but they want to build a business on the side. And the question I hear a lot is, when do I quit? Like, how do I know when it's smart to quit? When do you think it's smart to quit? Now that you've actually gone through
it. Put simply, as soon as possible. Put simply, as soon as possible. Like, because if you can prove to yourself that you can market yourself well, your ads are bringing in qualified leads, you're getting on these calls with people that are showing strong intent, and you're closing. If you can prove those things, then you know that you can make money yourself. And you know that if you like, at that point, you should be able to tell yourself like, all right, if I could do this but have more time for myself to be able to work on these things, then that just kind of equals more money. Like,
Yeah, 100%.
right. But that's put very simply. Obviously, there's like so many different variables, so many, like, there's a lot of things going on in people's lives, and I totally understand
Yeah.
that.
I mean,
Uh,
yes and no, right? Like, I do think, because I remember you and I had a convo, and because you were having a hard time with figuring out, like, I don't want to do it. Like, we're afraid, we're nervous, but I was like, bro, you just got to do it. So, like, I think you can simplify it with what you just said, which is, I think across the board, as soon as possible, yes. But as long as you have checked the following boxes, when you have proven to be able to generate leads consistently with the system, and when you have proven to be able to close and you know how to collect cash and onboard and you know your numbers, then you quit, right? Or replace your current expenses, give yourself a 20% cushion, and then quit. I've talked to quite a few guys too that are like, yeah, dude, I make like 8 to 9 grand a month with my business, which is a little bit more in the higher end. Like, they're not their business, they're 9 to 5, right? And then they're doing like 1 to 2K a month with their side business. But they're like, I want to. I talked to this one guy who was like, I want to double my current W2 before I can quit. So I'm gonna get to like 18 to 20K a month with my video business before I can quit my full-time job. What do you think about that? Somebody has that mindset.
I think you're gonna burn yourself out, dude, because you're working an 8-hour job on top of wanting to double, which probably means you're working another 8-hour job on top of that. And I feel like you're just gonna burn yourself out, and then your quality of work is probably gonna decline on either side or both sides. And that's where I started to find myself, is like, I mean, I'm not even at double yet. I've just surpassed my monthly, which I think I was like, monthly was, if we're talking gross,
Yeah.
was around that like 8 grand, right?
Yeah.
And I noticed that once I hit 10, I was like, all right, I actually have kind of a lot of work on my plate, because I don't have enough to like hire out and have someone, manage my systems for me, so that all I do is shoot and take calls or something, right? So a lot of the work was still myself plus just an editor. And at that point, it was just like, you know what? I need to just leave the job, because I also don't want to leave on a bad note and, like, you know, throw that company under the bus. But I also don't want the quality of the work with my clients and in my business to decline either. So I just had to make the decision. And
Yeah.
it's funny, like, I know you recently interviewed Dan. Something he said in that interview really stuck with me. We got on a call. I forgot what we were even talking. It was something random. Um, and I started telling him like, "Hey, like, what what got you to quit your job?" Because he was, at that point, he was transitioning out, and it was like his last day, that day that we talked. And he just straight up like said, if you don't lock in now, you'll clock in for the rest of your life. And I was like, damn, that's a good
Yeah,
one.
dude. That was
It's
a
like
hard
so
line.
true.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember hearing that too. I was like, "Oh, bro, that's the beginning. That's the hook." It was really good. It's super true though, man. And I think you need to prove first. Like, don't just quit your job when you don't know how to get leads, you know how to close. Like, prove first that you can do it, and then understand that, okay, I know what my inputs need to be, and then I know what my outputs are, right? Which is just like like lead flow and then sales, just acquisition. I know how to get another client. I know how much I got to spend to get another client. And once you know that, it's like, dude, get to the point where you can cover your bills and then pull the trigger. Because the faster you can pull the trigger, the easier it'll be to scale. But you got to have those foundations in place first, right?
Exactly.
And don't expect to like double, because like, dude, you're gonna get to like maybe 5 to 6K a month if you're lucky, while also working a full time job, and you're gonna hit burnout, barely manage all that stuff, and you're gonna stay in that position for the next 12 months because you're like, man, I just got to get here first, but you can't move because your 9 to 5 is what's holding you. So it's like releasing you from those chains. So when was your last day?
My last day was, well, it was last week.
Oh yeah, okay, that's pretty recent. So last week, dang. So it's been a week, okay, of like full time in this thing. How do you feel so far?
It feels good. I So the problem that I had was feeling a lot of pressure because of having that full-time job and having those responsibilities, but then also I have these
Yeah.
responsibilities with the business to my clients and to myself really. Um and like you said, right? You'll get lucky to hit 5 or 6K.
Hmm.
I got lucky because, some of the clients I work with were just ready to, throw money down. So I did hit that 10K, but that was luck. And at the end of the day, I was working myself hard. I was up late, late nights,
Yeah.
and that was rough. And it also sucked too because I feel like I could be so much better at sales now had I had the time to actually hop on these role plays every Wednesday.
Mm.
Have had I had the time to just get that in-person, support from these calls, because at the end of the day, like, I just had to resort to watching recordings, and which are great, but I
Totally
couldn't,
different when you're actually live.
like, fully be in it,
Yeah.
and that's what I'm most excited for now is, like, I mean, not most excited, but that's what I'm really excited for now is just being able to actually be present on these calls and be more present in the community, because
Yeah.
at the end of the day, like, the support from the community is like none other that I've gotten.
Yeah.
Um,
That's one of my favorite things too. Like the guys in the culture, it's literally self-feeding, which is why it's so important of like who we bring in here and why we're really picky. Like it's like, dude, if you're a taker, you don't have a place here. Like you can't be on here if you're just gonna ask questions, get feedback and help from guys, and then go off and then never come back until you need something else again. It's like the ability for guys to like help each other, hop on calls whenever like someone needs something. Um, and then ultimately it's that without like giving without expectation, which is just a principle in general that I love to uh, do my best to try and abide by, and also like tell other people. It's like Gary Vee actually posted a video about this today. I saw it on their account, but it's when you give with expectation, that's when you fail, and that's when you don't ultimately achieve the goals that you want. But when you give without expectation, that's when you ultimately unlock everything. And I think that's the culture that ultimately is like why this is bar none. Because I've been in a ton of communities, a ton of like other programs, and like nothing could hold a candle to this. I know I might be a little biased, but shit, I mean, most other guys agree with it too, which is cool. But anyway, I want to talk about, because like it's cool that you're able to quit your job. Talk a little bit about like the time in which other people are able to make that distinction. But let's talk about the progression and what implementations, like what things changed, what skill sets did you develop, what things did you change within your business to be able to get to this point over the past 6 months. Paint the picture for me of where you were when you first started. What was your thought process, your ideology? How are you thinking about business? And what do you think are the most important things that you improved, adjusted, or implemented that really helped you get to this point, which is, you said, what, 15K a month? What are you at currently?
yeah, just under.
Just under
Just
15. Okay.
50, yeah.
So what do you feel allowed you to get to this point, quit your job, go full time, almost double your, not gross, but total monthly into your account? Like what are
Yeah.
those things?
I think the biggest thing is letting go. And what I mean by that
Oh,
is being a being a videographer, being in filmmaking, very, very much connected to our creative, right? And so
mhm.
it was so hard to just let go of editing. And that was just like the biggest time suck when I first started working with businesses. And just understanding like, hey, there's editors that are just as good and honestly better.
Yeah.
And there are editors out there that have whole teams that could just have something ready for you within 24 hours. Like why you could use that time more wisely to actually work on the business and take these sales calls, close deals. And I think that was one of the big things that I needed to kind of change my mindset around. Um the other thing for me is like in a general sense, I'm kind of a shy person. And so getting on calls was like a really big
Oh
hump for
yeah.
me to get over. Um, and it wasn't even so much the Zoom calls. For some reason, it was the triage calls. Like when a lead comes in, it's like call them right away, and it felt awkward because it's like
Yep.
it feels unsolicited, but it's like it's not because they opted in. They gave me their
Yeah.
number, you know. But
Yep.
it was just getting past that, and that helped a lot. That helped my show up rate a lot. Systems is a big thing too, right? I think, like, it's hard to let go of control. I guess to give some context and some background, like, I come from an IT background, so when it comes to, like, systems and tech and automations and things like that, I'm all for it. Um, but I know, like, not everyone is always, like, technically inclined like that. So I think, like, early on, it is good to get systems in place because you don't wanna build your tech debt and have to, like, go back and fix all this stuff
Yeah.
when you're working with 10, 20, 30 clients or whatever. So I think that's important is, like, not getting too hung up on it either, but really, like, taking a step back and just figuring out, like, what needs to happen to acquire a client? What are those steps? How can I automate that? And like literally just laying out all those manual steps that need to happen and figuring out, can I make this process more streamlined so that I don't have to spend as much time doing all this manual work?
Mhm.
And I think that was another big thing for me. But as far as like getting to where I was at, to where I'm at now, making, bringing in 14,000 MRR, from like literally in January to 0. Um, I think that the biggest thing there was just confidence, really.
Mm.
Just having the confidence in myself and my skills in the work, and also having the confidence to accept that I don't know everything, and to know that, like, it's okay to ask questions, and we have a group that will support, and we can go directly to you for support. And so once I had, like, built up that confidence in myself and that imposter syndrome started to kinda just, like, fade away, is when I really started to just believe in the system a lot more, and that in itself helped my sales calls because when I first started taking sales calls, I was very much stuck on, am I going to close this person? Am I
Yep.
going to make money off this call?
Yep.
When in reality, it's not so much about the money comes after. At the end of the day, we're here to help businesses scale and make sure that they can reach their goals and make sure that they're successful because like with everyone that we work with, their success is our success. And once I started to think with that mindset and kind of not think so much of how much money I'm going to make off of this, it got that much easier to close sales because then it was just like, hey dude, like I'm trying to help you and this is how I can help.
Yeah,
um,
that's huge. So it's so hard too. It's much easier said than done. Like removing the yes from the sales call, especially in the very beginning. Like you start hopping on calls, adrenaline's high, you're excited, you're like, "Holy cow, this could be it. I could make money." And you don't actually start making money until you remove the yes from your head, until you remove the idea of "I'm here to make money," and instead you go, "I don't know anything about this business. I'm not sure if I can help them or not, but let's have a conversation, ask them the right questions, and then if I can help them, I'll present the opportunity, right? Like that's the other thing. And I think once you do that, then it's a complete game changer. But the prerequisite is getting the confidence to know and have the confidence that you can help them in the first place. So
exactly.
what do you feel is necessary? What do people need? What do videographers need to hone and develop or put into place in order to have the confidence that they know they can actually make these businesses money with their videos?
I mean, at the end of the day, like, we're implementing the same framework for our clients for ourselves, for our own businesses.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it's really just taking a step back and realizing like, hey, we're doing the same thing for ourselves and it is working for us. I think, the other thing too is like with the whole imposter syndrome thing, I think that's like a huge thing too. And that was something that was affecting me a lot too, because in my head, I keep thinking like, hey, these people are coming to me and they're opting in because they view me as an expert. Yet it's also like, but I've only been doing marketing for how long? Like not very long. But I think at the end of the day, it's really just about understanding that, I don't know, everything is a learning experience and you're just going to learn as you go. And that's okay. But at the end of the day, remembering these people are coming to us because they have no idea what they're doing. And we at least know, we know something,
Yeah,
and we know that it works.
we know
And
something.
you
Yeah.
know, like and we have the resources, you know, like
It's understanding that like you become the proof. You have to become the proof yourself. You
yeah,
can't sell something and believe in it so much or expect people to believe that you believe in it and you're confident in it if you're not doing it for yourself. And I can't tell you how many videographers talk about like brand message video, case studies, testimonials, like ads, reels, all these different things. Like this is what you need for your business. But if that's the case, then why aren't you doing it for yourself?
yeah,
You probably don't
exactly.
believe in it that much for it to actually work and deliver results if you don't do it for yourself. And I was a victim of that too, right? Like when I was first starting my video agency, I didn't practice what I preached. And one day I had a client be like, "Okay, so you really think this will like help me in my business and scale it up?" And I'm like, "This is what you need." And he's like, "Okay, why don't you do it for you?" And I literally didn't know what to say. I was like, well, it's different, but it's not. We're all business, right? And so being able to prove it first, it's like people ask the question of like, how do I get a case study? How do I know this is going to work? How do I prove it to work if I can't get a client to work with me because I haven't proved that it works yet, right? It's like chicken or the egg, right? And ultimately, the answer is you just do it yourself. There's no barrier to entry there. There's no like you literally follow the system, you write the ads, you run the campaign, you track the metrics, you analyze the data, you book in the calls, you close the deals, you set up the automations, right? Like you do all that stuff. And then when you do it, by the time it gets to the end of the call, if somebody's like, "Well, how do I know this will work?" You literally should be like, "Well, how'd you get on this call with me today?" "Well, I saw your ad." "What was it about the ad that made you click on it?" "Well, I thought it was really engaging. I thought it was really whatever." It's like, cool, okay. And how do you feel on this call right now? Genuinely, aside from this, like, do you feel like this is actually going to help your business? Yeah. Well, why? Just get them to sell themselves, right? And then you get
Exactly.
to the very end and be like, well, if you feel like we're good enough to get you here and be able to do this time and time again and actually convert clients with the same system, do you think we could probably do the same thing for you?
Yeah.
Right. So I think that's huge too. Like how helpful was that for you when you were able to do it first and then immediately go in and have confidence and conviction on your sales calls because you're actively doing the thing that you're selling?
Oh yeah, no, that helped a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, on some of these calls, I even just straight up like showed them like, "Dude, look at my KPI. Look, I'll show you my metrics in Ads Manager. Clearly, oh, yep, this is my page.
Yeah.
Not bullshitting you. This is my Google sheet where I'm tracking all these KPIs. This is like my, like this is my cost per lead and like it's pretty low. Like, oh wow." And just showing them those metrics like this is working for me. I can make it work for you, and
Yeah.
I helped a lot too.
Yeah. 100%. That's cool, man. What would your recommendation be to guys that are maybe working a full-time job? They picked up a camera. They want to figure out how to make it work, but they're so stuck on the idea of like, oh, I don't want to be a marketing agency. I don't want to run ads. I don't want to learn sales. I just want to figure out how I can make a lot of money just making cool videos because I hear that all the time. I also was in the position before too, until I finally 2 years into it realized, okay, this doesn't work. I gotta figure out how to pivot. So what would you say to guys like that, knowing that you were kind of probably in a similar situation, but now you're where you're at now? What would you say to those guys? Like what recommendations would you give them?
Um, get over that limiting belief. I mean, that it at the um that's all it is, right? It's a limiting belief, and if you just take a step back and even just thinking about like human psychology, right? Is that like that's the reason why ads work. Good ads work
Mm-hmm.
because it's all about like the human psychology and getting people to understand like the benefits and the values in what you're selling and what you do. And it's hard to do that when it's just I make cool videos because that's just a commodity. Anyone can pick up a camera, go on YouTube and learn how to make a badass video. Anyone can do that. That's what we did, right? Like
Yep.
that's literally how we learned. And so how do you differentiate yourself? Because cool videos aren't really going to get you results. It's not about selling cool videos. That's not really what people care about with their businesses. People care about results. And the fastest way to get those results are paid ads.
Oh yeah. So
Um,
much better than organic, bro.
yeah. And like, Yes, there's value in organic. I get that. Because, and it's kind of like that middle of funnel, just
Mhm.
nurturing people that are seeing your page. But at the end of the day, you're still waiting for people to see your page. You're waiting for people to magically see your reel come up or whatever.
Mhm.
As opposed to like, you run a paid ad, you're getting your content in front of the people that you target, have open targeting in your area. Like, they're gonna see your ad. I get people I get friends screenshotting my ads and sending to me, "Yo, dude, I saw your ad." And like, one of my recent clients, actually, his business partner was like, "Oh, you're that guy on Facebook, right? I see you all the time." And it's just like,
That's
it
cool.
works. Like, I'm getting
Yeah.
in front of these people and we're doing that same thing for our clients and they're seeing the results. So it's just,
Yeah.
the results just speak for itself, really.
100%. Yeah. So last question for you, bro, because it's really cool to see your growth, see where you're at, and like like what really attributed to getting to this point. Um, what would you say to someone that's on edge, someone that's like, man, I've looked into this before, I thought about doing it, but I'm just like kind of skeptical because there's a lot of, not so great programs and opportunities that exist out there. So genuinely speaking, what would your recommendation be to those guys?
My recommendation would just be to pull the trigger. I mean, yes, there are tons of programs out there, tons of different coaching programs, and there's so much noise, and I get that, but I don't know, there's just something about you and your videos, and then seeing like some of the testimonials and other people that are in the community before I even joined, that just pulled me in because at the end of the day, like, I don't think that I've seen a group of guys as um honest and vulnerable when you need to be,
Hmm.
um and just straight up down to earth. And there's tons of strategies out there that work. I'm not saying that this is the only strategy that works and this is the only one that's going to make you money, but I think one of the really big aspect and why this community works is the community. It's the
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
um you could have a badass strategy that can make you a shit ton of money, but if you're with a group of people that are just competing with you as opposed to supporting you,
Hmm.
it it doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
And that's what I can say about this community. Like, it feels good. What's that saying? You're only as strong as your weakest link,
Hmm.
right?
Yep.
And there are no weak links because we help each other, because we build each other up.
Yeah.
And we're all here to win, and we all know that. And so I think that's the one thing I like love about this community.
Yeah, I agree. Appreciate you saying that. That's really cool. Yeah, this community is insane, dude. So we've seen what can happen over the last just 6 months. Be able to quit your job and freaking rake in 15K per month and like learn all the skill sets that you have now that you didn't have before. So I guess what is your next 6 month goal? Understanding and knowing what we're capable of in this time frame. Like where are you going to be by the end of the year?
Yeah, big goal by the end of the year. So next 6 months, I mean, I think my next milestone is to break 20K a month, and I think that's coming soon.
Yeah.
That's coming up soon. So then my next milestone at that point is like, all right, let me catch up to Nolan. I want to hit. My next milestone is to hit 50K.
Mhm.
Um, but I know in order to get there, I do need to like look back and like look at my systems. All right, what processes can I streamline? I know I need to hire a VA soon.
Right
Because,
now, bro, you don't have a VA yet? Yeah, you got you got to get a
well,
VA.
yeah,
They'll
yeah,
change your
yeah.
life.
And that's the thing is like, I think for anyone watching, it's when it comes to scaling, it's all about being able to work on the business and not in it. And if you find yourself spending time doing things that aren't actually revenue building activities, you need to hire someone to do that. Then you'll be able to take on more calls and close more deals. And that's really the only way to scale, is to delegate.
100%. Delegation and automation.
Yes. I'm in the process of doing that. I mean, even with editing, like I'm talking to another set of editors, another team. Actually, Marlon worked with them. Um, and yeah, I'm shopping around for a VA. So that's in the pipeline. So really, I'm just trying to buy myself more time to take on more calls.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, a VA will get you about 5 to 10 hours of your time per week back minimum. And then are you editing anything still?
No, I don't edit shit.
Okay, good. All right. So editing is all taken care of. That's good.
Yep.
Yeah, dude, super excited for you. I think we're about to wrap up anyway. So this is super good. Is there anything else that you feel like you want to chat with? Like if you could talk to your former self, like let's say he was like sitting right next to me, or he's another guy on the call, right? The guy that was, pre 7 months ago, Q3, Q4 last year. If you could say something to him right now, what would that be?
I would tell him to just believe in himself more, and just stop listening to all the noise and know your worth. That kind of fueled the imposter syndrome of just not knowing my worth and the value of my skills. And even when I first started running ads, like earlier this year, like Q1, I had imposter syndrome hard because it was like I
Mm,
just learned this stuff. But at the end of the day, like you said, right? We implement these skills and these systems and we know it works. We prove it for ourselves. So I think if I were to tell my old self, really is just have the confidence and in yourself and just take action, really. That's all it is take action. It doesn't matter if it's right or wrong. It's just about taking that action and figuring it out and failing fast. Because if you fail fast, then you'll be able to understand what levers to pull next so that you don't make that same mistake. And the faster you move, the faster you'll learn, the faster you'll be able to implement better systems, the faster you'll learn skills. So it's really just about taking action.
it's really that, dude. Everyone loves to talk about it too.
Yep.
Everyone thinks like they'll hear this. A lot of people will probably hear this and be like, "Yeah, fast action." Few people actually do it. Few people are actually like brave enough to actually do it and fail forward. I don't think this ad's that great, but I'm going to run it anyway. I'm not prepared for the sales call, but I'm going to take it anyway. I'm so scared to do this triage call, but I'm going to do it anyway, right? Like it's doing the things we don't want to do that scare us and doing it as fast as we can. Like
Exactly.
that's really where it's at. And I think anyone that can embody that, pair it with volume of reps and pair it with the right tactics and strategies, it's just a matter of time.
Yep.
And it'll happen pretty quickly too. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah. Anything else, man?
Thank you, man. I wouldn't be here without you like starting this community and, I would have never thought. I appreciate you being hard on me when we had that sales call in December, just like and pushing me because yeah, I wouldn't be here.
Well, I appreciate that. Thanks, man. I appreciate and respect your ability to take feedback and criticism and then act on it because it's so funny. We've had a few people jump in here and then leave, and I've been blocked a couple times. Won't say who it was, but because they would either decide. I had one guy who was like not even a month in, and he's like, "Yeah, dude, I think I'm gonna follow this other thing. This is ultimately my passion, and I think I've been following an imposter syndrome, and I haven't done it, so I'm gonna do that." And I sent him this long message, basically being like, "Dude, you're not gonna be able to get anywhere if you keep trying new things for like a month or two, and then decide, oh, it's actually this. Then you go do the other. Like you have shiny object syndrome like crazy." And I was basically pretty direct and blunt. I was like, "Listen, here's the reality of what's happening. This actually, like the thing that you should be doing that God wants you to do is the thing that you spend enough time on. It's the thing that you commit to, right? You can do well at anything. You can enjoy anything if you just commit and you only do that one thing." So anyway, did that and then you know, ended up not responding, left on red and then blocked. And that happens quite a few times. There are people that they just can't handle criticism. They can't handle pressure and then they crumble and they succumb to it. And then those same people wonder why they complain and they victimize themselves 24/7 and they're in their 30s or 40s and they still haven't achieved their goals.
Yeah.
Right. And they sit back and they wonder. And it's like, dude, why would you not listen to somebody that's where you want to be, that has been where you're at and knows exactly how to pull you out of it, regardless of how it makes you feel? And then you look at it 100% of the time, the people that get the best results are the ones that ask uncomfortable questions. They take criticism and feedback and they go, okay, noted. And then they go execute. That's exactly what you did. And so I'm proud of you for doing that. And that is the reason why you're where you're at now.
Yeah.
Right.
I
But
agree.
on that note, it is also like making sure you take criticism from the right people. Like, because if you listen to a bunch of different people, it'll get noisy, you get confused, you don't know what's going on or what to do. So it's like, that's why I think it's so important to find that one mentor, that one person that is exactly where you want to be. I'm not talking like you're a videographer and you find someone that built a landscaping company to 50K a month and you're going to listen to him as your mentor. Like, Businesses scale differently. They're entirely different in terms of operations and people and team, whatever, and offers. Find someone who's doing the exact same thing that you want to do, and then only listen to them.
Yeah.
Like, that's why I'm where I, like, dude, I block out all the noise. It's like, this is the guy that's where I'm at. And then once you get to that level or surpass it, then you find the next person that's at the next level. Right. So anyway, I'm, yapping at this point, but,
Yeah,
I,
no, I mean, no, I agree, dude. Like, I have that problem too, shiny object syndrome. Because even when we first started, I started getting a bunch of ads from all these different like coaching businesses and agents, other agencies, and seeing what they're doing. And it's like, oh, what they're doing seems
Mhm.
to be working too. And it's just like, yeah, at the end of the day, there's all these other strategies that probably do work, but you just have to focus.
Mhm.
You focus all your energy in one thing, right? Because you don't want to be a jack of all trades, master of none, and just you can't, just
Yeah.
can't scale that way.
Well, it's the girl in the red dress analogy, right? Like, it's the shiny object syndrome. It's like girl in the red dress. You've seen the Matrix. You're familiar with the
Yeah.
analogy. Yeah. Okay. So it's like Hermosi talks about it all the time too. It's like, you wonder why you're not where you want to be. It's because you keep finding something else that's not what you're trying to currently focus on. And you find something else that's promising better and bigger results. So you go, well, that's probably working better. Let me try that. Then you'll do that for 3 months, and then you'll see something else that promises bigger and better results. And then you'll go try that. And the reason you're not where you want to be is because you didn't pick one thing that works and then only do that thing and block out everything else, because you're 100% correct. Like, there are a bunch of other strategies you could do that would work. But there is no better strategy. There's only what you choose to commit to for a long enough time horizon. That is what the better strategy is,
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
exactly. Like
So,
becoming a master of that skill.
mhm.
And that's when people are going to come to you because it's like, oh shit, like he's really good at this thing and I need that thing. Yeah. I mean,
That easy. Yep.
yeah,
100%. All right, dude. This is a good call. Thanks for hopping on, man. Super valuable. Appreciate you
of
as
course.
always. Super proud of you. Yeah, man. And we'll catch you later. But
Yeah.
keep the hammer down. Keep staying focused. And appreciate you guys coming on and watching. Hopefully this is valuable. If you guys have any other requests, videos, YouTube videos, stay tuned. Hit me up. Let me know, and we'll keep cranking them out. Peace out, homie.
All right, man.